Very recently, I had a couple people come to me and tell me that they were struggling with a certain section in the Bible, and it's on the Sermon on the Mount. It's one of Jesus's core teaching. We find it in Matthew 5, verse 38 to 42. And when I was pre-reading this, I had a lot of questions myself too. So we're just going to get your thoughts on it. Verse 38, you have heard that it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth. Now, what is this concept here?
Yeah, in the Old Testament, when people where there was a colony of people called the Israelites, and the commandments were for them that if somebody hurt the other person, there had to be punishment for that. And so, if you one person poked out the other guy in a fight, well, then his eye had to go also. That was the instruction from the Old Testament, but Jesus has a different plan.
All right, verse 39. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. So, what does it mean to resist an evil person in this case? Do not resist one.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people just always pushing the community's buttons. They're just awkward people, and we will run across them also. It's like a guy pushing the snow out of his driveway into your driveway. That's an evil person. We know that. But what
Mhm.
do? You have a choice. You can either get angry, you can call the city, you can call this or that, or you can get your coat on and shovel it out again. And if you do that and turn the other cheek, then you have established the Jesus concept in your community. It's an opportunity to show who you are and who Jesus is by turning the other cheek, and that's what he's asking for.
All right, verse 40. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. Now, this one is a little awkward, right? So they sue you, so they're already doing hardship to you, and then you're supposed to give them more than what they ask. Is that what he's saying here?
Yeah, the thing is, we can either go and litigate everything and that kind of stuff, or we can just try to find peace here. There's my shirt, there's my coat, and well, are you satisfied now? And move on. Again, the same thing. And a day later, you're back in business. You don't have all the court stuff and so on and so forth. When we take our right when we're a Christian, we don't worry about our rights, and that is really really important. So, well, my rights are my rights. Well, that's not what Jesus said. We should just show kindness to those around us and be helpful and be up be don't resist evil people. Just cooperate as best you know how, and let it go.
And then verse 41. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Now, what's this talking about?
That's easy. That one's easier to explain. The rules were in Israel at that time, a Roman soldier could ask you if you were capable that to ask you to carry his weapons in his bags for him for a mile as he was traveling because they got heavy for these guys. So he said, "Well, you don't want to do that," but hey, he says, "No." He says, "Cooperate, walk with him, talk with him, and offer to go the second mile because this guy's got a long ways to go and life is hard." So you show Jesus to them and maybe they'll understand who Jesus is. So again, that's I know it's just an expression but that's what people did. They literally had to carry the Romans weapons for them and stuff. But just show Jesus, show kindness. And again, at the end of the week, you'll all be fine. If you lost an hour, no big deal.
And one thing before we go to the next verse here, Harry, how is all this made possible? Like, how are like we see this this teaching, especially here? It seems almost that it's impossible to fulfill this, right?
Exactly. It is impossible because if we're human nature only, the old nature, the Adam nature, we're not going to do that. We're going to give as well as has been given to us. We're going to feed, we're going to tell them and teach them and so on. But that's not what Jesus says. When Jesus comes into our life, he gives us, through the Holy Spirit, comes into our life and they give a new nature, a Jesus nature. So we'll think like him and we'll act like him and be like him. And that's the objective. And then when we're like that, we will treat people pleasantly for the dirt that comes our way, and that is how we are a light into the world. Jesus says, be a light into the world. That's what Jesus was, and that's what we can be. If we're treating people nice for the dirt they've done to us, that's unusual. That's not normal, and that is how we are to be. And that is and actually, it isn't any effort because they say, "Well, no effort." Yeah, no. If we have the new nature, if we're born again, we talk about being born again. But if we are, we have a new nature, and to have a new nature, we will act like Jesus, and it'll come naturally. It won't be a burden or a struggle.
And then verse 42. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you.
Yeah, you read in the early church too, that they had everything in common. And again, I believe that if God has blessed us, we can share that with others. There's no big deal. If
Mhm.
someone needs to borrow this or that, let them have it. Say, come again. Like, I mean, what do we need all our stuff for anyway? We have more than we need in generally, and even if we didn't, we can share with those in need. That's all part of that Jesus nature, to be a blessing and a light. And if we can talk about church and we can read all the right verses, but if we don't act like Jesus, we're really missing the point. The objective is to be Jesus to those around us, and not just talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. And it is a difficult section here. So if anybody has any questions or comments or anything that maybe we missed, leave a comment below and I'm sure we can make a follow up video. And thanks a lot for this, Harry.
Thank you.